about the build-up to it and eventually the competition that you went there. You were playing against 12 nations, and here you are, finishing third overall in beach football.
The preparation that we took before we left for Malaysia was intense. Thanking the government for that facilitation. Our coaches have input a lot of effort to ensure that we give our best. The competition was tough, but we did our best and we matched position 3 for men and position 4 for women.
All right, you've got 3 medals.
Yeah.
So just tell us about each one of them and also the trophy that is just in front of you.
So when we were playing, we were divided to play strokes and fair competitions. For myself, I participated in fairway competition. I was position 2 when it comes to single men's competition, and position 2 for double men competition. And overall, Kenya was position 2 for fairway.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter, we'll be coming back to you, but let's listen to the Honorable Woodball, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, and this is, and he is speaking in Mombasa, so let us get to listen to him. And remember, this is launching of the office of the Data Commissioner, Honorable Wallo. Now let us now get back to our conversation, and we're talking about, Woodball, and we were getting to hear from Peter Waweru, who's the men's captain of the Kenya Woodball team. And, Peter was just summarizing about the fate of the men's Woodball team at the Beach World Cup that was in Malaysia. So, Peter, you could just finalize it because you've got the medals, you've got the trophy, before we move on to Ivyne.
So, for the medals, I've given the nutshell of it. When it comes to the trophy, this is position 3 for men's, that Kenya finished position 3 overall. Yeah.
All right. Well, the women's team was also at the Woodball Beach World Cup, and they finished 4th overall. We've got the team captain, Ivyne Chepkemoi. Ivyne,
yes. Tell
us about the story and the competition that you did face when you went to play in Malaysia.
Okay, thank you. Okay, about attending the 3rd beach football in Malaysia. As the ladies captain, it was a nice exposure. Yeah, we encountered challenges with the beach and everything, but we tried our best. The competition was high, it was tough, but we did our best and emerged position 4. Yeah.
Position 4 globally. What was it about the beach that you found challenging rather than, say, grass, which is what you normally play on?
Okay, most of the time our competition here is done on the lawn. Yeah, the ground, the lawn ground and the beach ground are different. Yeah, and most of the time we find out that we've not been playing on the beach. So I can say that it was one of the challenges that we experienced. Yeah.
Okay, and Peter, what was the challenge? How did you find adapting to playing on the beach?
For the beach, it's a bit challenging when it comes to the terrain. We are used to a surrounding terrain when it comes to training that we have had in Mombasa. But when we go to Malaysia, we find a natural beach that is a bit flat. The sand is a bit dry. So you find that driving the ball with the energy we are used to drive with in Kenya becomes a bit challenging. But for those people who have had that exposure to train on such grounds, they find it a bit easy. But we did our best. Yeah.
All right, and also we've got Luta Opanda, who is the head of the technical and logistics at Woodball Kenya. And Luta, let me just, from the technical perspective, just give a summary of the Malaysia event.
The Malaysia event was a learning ground for us. We really appreciate the Ministry of Sports Culture for supporting this team to go there, because being a first international event for the team, to to us, it was let's compete, but let's now learn from the best.
Actually, you'd say global, because
yes,
you're
global.
always, Uganda is home now for you.
Yes, it was global, and you're playing amongst the best, being in Asia, and this sport is really grown in Asia, and the Asian countries have fully embraced this sport. So we went there to learn, and we learned a lot of things in terms of how they play, their systems. They have put up system, just like you borrow from football, from youth to the elderly, and that's the same thing they have. We had teams of youth who are as young as 5 years old, and elderly as old as 70 years, 80 years old playing. So you realize that through the ranks, they have implemented this system where people qualify and grow into different ranks. Once you leave the rank of 9 years old, you go to the top rank of 12 years old. From 12 years old, you qualify to 17 years old, until now you join the senior. So when you are playing someone who is in the senior team, this is a fully well-studied blend player who knows what he or she is doing. This is a player who would score at 100 meters. Because they have studied, they have done it. And we also realize that they even go to class. They have books, they go to class. Some of these countries like Thailand, Taiwan, you go to study it in class. So we learned that we need to embrace that. Here, the sport has been majorly in universities and a few corporates. Now we have learned that you need to go back to the drawing board, go under, start this even from the elementary, and grow this sport from elementary to the highest level to corporates, so that we have a full set of well-polished players to compete effectively in whatever categories that come our way.
Well, talking about going, downwards, not from the universities.
Yes.
This week we've got the Term 2 National Secondary School Games taking place in Kakamega. And thank you, Chola Simon. He's going to be keeping us updated on that. We get back to our conversation, and this is about Woodball, and Kenya was at the Beach Worldcup for the sport Woodball, and they marched third overall. The men's team finished third, and the women's team finished fourth. And we've got in studio with us, we've got Peter Waweru, who's the captain of the men's team, Ivyne Chepkemoi, the captain of the women's team, and also we've got Luta Opanda, who's the head of technical and logistics. Now, because you've got the equipment there that he's got, and it's called the Woodball. First of all, Ivy, let's come to you and just pick the ball and just describe to us, and also the mallet that you've got.
The game is Woodball. So this is the ball made of wood. Yeah, it's made of wood. That's the game is called Woodball. Then you have the mallet. This is what we use to play. You use the mallet to hit the ball when you're scoring at the gate. So the mallet you can find, this is aluminium made. We can have the wood made mallet. So there are two types of mallet, yeah. So you use the mallet when you are playing, you score in the gate.
Okay. Now, just Peter, you could just describe that gate and how exactly it works, because looking at it, if you take a look at how the sport is played, you'll realize that the sport is played almost similar to croquet, but it has a concept around golf.
Yes. So actually, Woodball is so close to golf. The only difference is that when it comes to golf, you have to score in a hole.
Yes.
But when it comes to Woodball, you have to score inside the gate. So what happens is that once you hit the ball along the fairway, the ball is mentioned to have success if it passes through the grass. This is the grass, and these are the post gates that are firmly held on the ground by use of these metallic rods. So once the ball passes through, completely passes through the gate, the grass cheers. The cheering is the rotating of the grass continuous, and that is what we call a successful score. So Woodball is played.
So what happens if basically it doesn't turn?
If it doesn't turn and the ball is stuck at the middle of the grass, maybe let's say at that position,
yes,
you may be asked to hit a stroke to complete the scoring, or you asked to pick the ball and you are added a stroke. So you may opt to finish by hitting the ball or picking and adding a stroke.
So it's very much like a drop in golf.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, what about the fairway? What's the length?
The fairway, we have the length that varies from 40 meters to even 180 meters. So we have different letters. The fairway are made of different letters. We have the I's, we have the L's, we have the U's, we have the V's. So it may depend on each fairway. You may have a short L, a long L, a short I, a long I. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ivy, let me just come to you. Just explain those letters that is mentioned. I, L. I'll not continue because somebody might spell it out loudly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, as you said, we have different letters that we play. So you find there's an I, yeah, like the way the I is made. So there's a short I, you have the gate at one end of the I, so you'll have to play and score. So in many games, like in the international games, you are given, we call it par. So you have to score, like in this pair, the short one, you have to score a success at 3 or less. There's the medium I, a success at 4 or 5. Then there's the long I, the longest fairway, the I. Then we have V, the V-shaped. At the end, we have our gate. So when you're
it's
playing,
like this.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's exactly
V-shaped.
Yeah. Then the L is L-shaped. The U is U-shaped. Yeah, those are the letters we use, the fairways. Yeah.
Okay, so it's very simple. So I mean, the whole concept, you can pick it. And now, let me come to you, Luta, and talk about the current state of the game, the competition scenario that we have in the country, and also what's next for Team Kenya, because I know you will be traveling to Uganda. Your arch rivals here.
Yeah, Ugandans have been our biggest arch rivals, eh? And what the game is at stake now, as the technical people and the federation, what is at stake as us now is the development of this game. The key things now is develop the game, let the game get to masses, let the game get to the people, let people embrace the game. Initially, people have looked at the game as an inferior sport, eh? And after participation in the World Cup,
bronze medalist.
Yes, after participation in the World Cup, people are realizing, hey, this is a serious sport that can play, that can take you places. And what people have never understood about this sport, this is not only a competitive sport, but this is also a sport that you can use for leisure. This is a sport that a family can play together in the background of their home. So what we're working on now is to make this game reach out to masses. Like I said earlier, we want to reach to schools first, because the easiest way for this game to develop is start from the schools. From primary to the highest level. And we are now also working on ourselves on how to get the equipments, because our hindrance again has been the equipments. And our traveling there was able to meet the stakeholders who produce the equipment, and we're looking at engaging the government to find if we can get the machines that produce the equipment from here, because if you're able to produce from the country, it is easier for us to produce in masses, for them to be cheaper, and once you have the equipment, you have the people to play them, because people are willing. But again, some people may be willing, but getting this mallet is very costly, because this mallet is costing about 20,000 shillings Kenyan money. So it's not that cheap for a person who just wants to start, or for a villager who wants to start this game. But if you have the machines to produce it, this mallet price will drop by half. You'll find the aluminium one probably going at 10,000, the wood one going at 2,000. So it will be easy for people to get them. So we are working towards that, getting to the masses, developing the game, training the game, and I'm happy that we're on that course, because as we speak in Northeastern, we have 15 high schools who have already embraced the game and have already started playing it. Rift Valley, we have one high school. In Western, we have one high school. Through what is going on, we have sent people, part of the federation members, to the ongoing national sports that are starting tomorrow, to talk more to the person, to demonstrate the game, so that once they're done, we are engaging the high schools committee to have this game embraced as part of their sports in their yearly activities. And that will be a major booster for us. Internationally, we are preparing now for qualifications. We'll be going to Uganda for qualifications. We'll be going to early next year, South Korea for World Cup qualifications. What we had this year was Beach World Cup. Now, what we have next year is the normal World Cup, because this game is like volleyball, where there's the normal volleyball and there's the beach volleyball. So the same applies here. So our concentration now is training, embracing, playing and qualifying ourselves, the team qualifying for the World Cup, which is scheduled for next year, dates to be announced later, so that we have now a stronger team and stronger players to go and have a better performance than what we had at the Beach World Cup in the World Cup.
All right. Thank you very much, and congratulations to Team Kenya, their first global assignment, and they came back finishing third. That was the men's team. The women's team finished fourth. Asante sana, Peter.
Thank you.
Who was the captain of the men's team. Ivy, who was the captain of the women's team, and the head of technical and logistics, Luta Opanda. Yes, he's the head of technical and logistics at Woodball, Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana.
All right, we'll be talking about another sport, also a young sport, and Kenya are the defending champions in Africa. They did win the African title in 2019, so it's now time for them to defend the title in Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan. We're talking about floorball. Think of ice hockey, but with no skates. That's coming up briefly.